I want to start with, I mean, your book reached so many people, but before we get to your book, I want to know how you even got to that. So if you can talk to us a little about how you became Rabbi Simon Jacobson from your childhood, how you developed into this famous personality.
Okay, I can't talk about the famous so much. I'll talk about the Simon Jacobson part. Um,
Okay.
so that was my name given to me at my circumcision and bris when I was 8 days old. Born in 1956 to my both Russian-born parents who came to the United States after World War II. That's where they met. I'm the oldest of 5 children. I grew up in Crown Heights in the Chabad community, and I went through the entire system. And long story short, my unique story is something of I grew up in a very obviously intense, observant home, but at the same time, my parents were very open-minded. My father was a journalist, my mother very well read, so I never had experience of dogma, and
Mm.
nothing was imposed upon me, which actually was very healthy for me because I'm by nature a skeptic. And so I was able to both grow up with this powerful experiences, but also absorb it and integrate it as I grew into a teenager. And to be very honest, I had my questions, I had my doubts, I had my struggles. But at the same time, I was blessed, a nurturing home, family. I did not deal with any particular trauma
Mm.
or violations, as people talk about today. So for me, it was really a very honest exploration.
What kind of things were you skeptical about, or did you explore as a teenager? I mean, I'm sure some teenagers are listening to this and saying, "Wow, like he became such a rabbi and he had some questions when he was younger."
How irreverent can I be?
Absolutely irrelevant.
Okay, so to be very honest, everything. I question the very existence of God. I question the veracity of Judaism. Is it a mind control system? I know, again, I had beautiful experiences, but I
Mhm.
wondered, is it something that is about demands conformity? Is there room for individuality? What is really, what's my mission in life? Should I just go along because my parents and my community are teaching me this? So I asked all the tough
What
questions.
what do you think made you ask these questions? Was it the way that you were brought up or just the fact that you're a very inquiring mind?
I think I'm by nature a person that doesn't just accept things, somewhat of
Mhm.
a maybe disruptor a little. And so I think it's a genetic element to it because my father was like that as well.
Mhm.
But I think I was more extreme. And as well as the fact is, I did have the license because my parents didn't shut me down.
Mhm.
To be honest, the yeshiva system does not really accept and likes to not be challenged. And I got my pushback. So I
Right.
learned to maneuver. I learned to maneuver. I didn't
Right.
want to, I wasn't looking to be rebellious just to be rebellious. I was not looking to cross lines. I was really seeking the truth, to be honest, like an honest,
Right.
young, impressionable guy trying to, and,
Really
and I still,
understand.
look, to be honest, in school, I was not very inspired. I learned
Mhm.
Gemara, Talmud,
Mhm.
but it was not very inspiring. It was very technical. I have a good mind, so I was able to pick things up, but it wasn't,
Mhm.
I would say I wasn't passionate about it. And I was looking for, in retrospect, I would say I was a rebel without a cause, you know?
Mhm.
And
So
so I seeked and I asked questions, and I'll tell you how things evolved, but go ahead. You were
oh,
saying
right,
something.
yes. Yeah, no, I was just wondering, how did you get from that
Yeah.
skepticism to being such an enthusiastic follower and Torah scholar?
Don't be deceived by my looks. Okay.
Okay.
Um, well, no, I'll tell you exactly. I mean, it's obviously there's no story that's overnight. It took some time,
Mhm.
but I was really I was so passionate. I was a voracious reader, and I was passionate to really find the truth. And I wasn't looking for proof. That there was Kriyas Yamsuf, that the parting of the sea. I wasn't looking for scientific proof. I was looking more for a resonating calling, I would
Would you
say.
s would you say we're looking for meaning?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Meaning that, what's the meaning of my life? I want to make a
Mhm.
mark in this world. Like, why am I here?
Mhm.
I didn't feel comfortable that I'm just going to go through the motions
Mhm.
robotically and mechanically because everyone else is doing so. That was
Doing it.
very
Right,
repulsive to me, that idea.
right.
And that's what really bothered me a lot. I saw a lot of conformity. Of course, I saw hypocrisy. But again, I want to
Mhm.
make it clear I had no hostility. I was not angry. I
Mhm.
wasn't bitter. I wasn't
Mhm.
like something happened to me and I was like rebelling. It was a, what changed was really at around 16, 17 in my search. I love physics and mathematics. That really was very stimulating to me, especially quantum mechanics. So I remember I was speaking to someone in summer camp, and I said to him, "How do you know there's a God?"
Mm.
I said it not so much to challenge. I wanted to just hear his response. He's an intelligent guy, and he said to me, he gave me a proof that says in Hasidic thought. He said to me, "Well, anything that's finite cannot add up to the infinite, and that's a mathematical rule. As big
Mhm.
as trillions, trillions, trillions." So he said, so therefore you'd have to say that existence is here forever, because the infinite, how did it become
Right.
finite? So
Mm.
I said, where does it say that? And he told me, he said to me, look in Derech Mitzvosecha. It's a book
Mm.
from the Tzemach Tzedek, and he showed me where, and I looked it up.
One of the Chabad rabbis.
Yeah, the third
Rabbis.
Chabad Rebbe.
Mhm.
Yeah, in a mitzvah, he explains the mitzvahs according to Hasidic thought. This is a mitzvah called faith in God, Hamonas Alakus, and I see he uses that example. It
Mhm.
wasn't so fascinating to me, the example, the fact that someone's talking
Was mentioned it.
in a
Right.
logical way. And
Mm.
it was very intriguing to me because till then I was learning Gemara, I was learning technical fact. There are 39 works you're not supposed to do on Shabbos. This is how you eat Passover, matzah. This is what you do on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And it began to spark a type of process. And I began to see that in the spiritual side of Judaism, what we call the inner dimension, Kabbalah, especially Hasidic thought, was really very, to me, became like music to my ears. Because I
Mm.
realized there's, in addition to the mechanical side of Judaism, which is so intense and I was so familiar with, I saw a soul. And when you hear music, you hear music. It's not a
Mhm.
matter of proof; it's just experience. And I have
It
to put it that way.
resonated.
I don't mean to be sentimental, but it was extremely
Right.
emotional for me,
Mm.
and it resonated. I felt a deeper truth. There's a higher reality. I realized,
Mm.
and Judaism talks about it. That was what's most compelling. It
So
doesn't just talk. Yeah,
what age were you at that time when you had this, like, revelation, I guess?
16, 17. But again, it
Mm.
was not overnight. It wasn't like, oh,
It was
one
a
morning.
process.
It
Right,
was
it
a
was a
process.
process.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and at that age, you start thinking about things that are
Mhm.
infinite, the invisible, what's
Sure.
real, what's superficial. So it was a perfect time. And then I began hearing the Rebbe, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, speak, and I lived in Kranite, so I would hear that, and I started relating to it. Until that
Mhm.
point, the Rebbe was like a king on the hill, and
Mhm.
I respected him, but I didn't feel a personal connection. This I started realizing that's what he's talking about. He's talking about changing the world. He's not talking about another detail in whether you split a hair about the tzitzis are worn this way or that way. I don't
Right.
mean to be dismissive, but
Right.
I mean to
Right.
say it wasn't just a technical detail. I realized, wow, the matters of real import of what purpose. What's my mission in life? How do we bring the infinite into the finite? These
Mm.
ideas were extremely intriguing to me. That intriguing, and
Mhm.
honestly, once I heard the music, I just was in.
You
I
were in.
still, just for the record, years later, I always tell people I'm 17 years old with 50 years of experience, but I still, till this day, have my skepticism, but I found my place. I was able to embrace this because I was looking for something that felt. I wasn't looking for absolute proof. I was looking for something I felt that that I can respect and
Right.
and embrace and live my life by.